Okay.
Jeff,
Are
go ahead.
Are you living up to your ambitions? Are we living up to the ambitions of what you all created? These Rome-based agencies are the ones who came up with this idea. Are we living up to it, or are we overreaching ourselves?
Jeff, the world's in trouble. So I'm going to give a wake-up call. When you look at the last 200 years and see how much progress we have made, with 1 billion people, 95% of the people in extreme poverty, today, 7.8 billion and less than 10% of the people in extreme poverty. But we've made great progress in the past 200 years. We have built systems, institutions, programs sharing more wealth than any time period in our world history. But try telling that to the 10% that we're not reaching. And quite frankly, Jeff, in the last 4 or 5 years, we're going backwards. Man-made conflict, climate change, COVID, corruption. When I joined in the Rome-based agencies just 4.5 years ago, there were 80 million people marching to the brink of starvation. Today, 270 million people. Just a few weeks ago, the Rome-based agencies, along with UNICEF and WHO and others partners, we announced, and that's in shock, acute food insecurity, Jeff. That's not the chronic number. Chronic hunger, just in the past 1 year, went up from 650 million people to 811 million people. Pre-COVID, the number of people marching to starvation was 135 million. Now in the height of COVID, it's 270 million. Do the math. 165 increase in chronic, 135 increase in shock acute food insecurity. You're dealing with 300 million people on planet Earth that are in serious food insecurity. So this summit and this pre-summit is definitely knocking on the door at the right time. And Jeff, out of that 275 million people that are marching towards starvation, 41 million are knocking on famine's door as we sit right here. And as Gerd Mueller said, $40 billion per year to end hunger by 2030, that seems like a lot of money, doesn't it? But just in the United States alone in the last 1 year, the United States billionaires' net worth increase was over $1 trillion. There's over $400 trillion on planet Earth today. There are 2,755 billionaires who made an average net worth increase last year of $5.2 billion. It's shame on planet Earth that we have a single child going to bed hungry, much less dying at a rate of 5 seconds at a time. This is a call to action. We've got the expertise in this room and around the world to end hunger. The SDGs, we can reach them, Amina, if we'll end the conflict, if we'll end the corruption. Climate change, look at Madagascar. For no fault of their own, people in the South struggling to survive. Why? Because of climate change. They didn't cause it. And yet we in the industrialized nations are not doing anything to help them, to rescue them. Shame on planet Earth. While we're racing to space, people are starving to death. Shame on planet Earth. And to the media, well, I can tell you what Harry and Meghan ate yesterday and what Trump did for dinner. But no one's telling the world about the children starving to death every single day. Shame on planet Earth. When I think about the Rome-based agencies coming, heeding this call on a food system summit, because quite frankly, it needs to be a wake-up call, Jeff. We are in serious trouble. You know, the advantage of the World Food Program, we deal with the here and the now. When you feed 115 million people every single day, week and month, you know what's going on. You see the trends. You see what's happening. You see what causes it. COVID came knocking on the door, And the whole world responded. Hunger. What's the difference? Because COVID came knocking on the door of those with wealth and those in power. And you think hunger's not knocking on your door? Well, it's coming your way. I can assure you, it's coming your way. Yes, we're facing famines of biblical proportions this year. Yes, we're facing the destabilization of nations this year, mass migration this year, if we don't respond, particularly to the 41 million and the 43 nations that are struggling as we speak. We've got solutions working together. Jeff, you won't believe this, in the last few years, with the beneficiaries that we work with, we planted billions of trees, built over 69,000 kilometers of feeder roads for market access, 59,000 dams, reservoirs, holding ponds, over 7,500 bridges so people can move their products, smallholder farmers in developing nations which produce 90% of the food, 2/3 of the employment. We can't neglect these people. This is where we must invest, and we must not exclude the private sector from large to small. They must be a part of the solution, but as I talk to the private sector, I know you need a return on your investment, but be willing to make a little bit less to empower the smallholder farmers, to change systems in developing nations so that we all share this success. And children, well, I'm so excited to see a meeting we've been talking about, feeding the children versus neglecting the children. You see, children die at a rate of about 5 to 6, every 5 to 6 seconds a child's dying out there. And we know when we don't invest in our children, particularly those first 1,000 days, maybe that's why we got so much war today. Maybe we didn't invest in some of our leaders when they were young. I don't know. But school meals is a simple investment. Investing in the future by helping children of today. We feed about 17 million people, children, school meals directly every single day, and another 40 million working with governments in developing nations around the world. Thank you for those out there that give us that support. My time is running out, but as Ged Mueller said, we need less talk, less meetings, and more action, and the time is now. Thank you.
All right. Wow.